All right, today what we're doing is chapter 3-3, and we're going to be doing regions of inequalities. Basically what you're going to be doing today is I'm going to give you a graph, the Picasso graph. Do you see the colored graph in front of you? Okay. Underneath that colored graph is going to be a lovely 4 equations. Do you see all 4 equations down there? These 4 equations, 1, 2, 3, and 4, have to be manipulated and moved to represent the 4 lines that you have on the graph. Here's a line right here. There's a line right there. Or I should say down here so you can see it. There's a line right here, and there's a line right there that's vertical. Do we see all 4 of the graphs? Okay? So on your paper, what I want you to do is I want you to pick which equation goes with which. How do we do that? Well, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the slope picture. What slope picture am I talking about? I'm talking about this slope picture that I have drawn on this board I don't know how many times. Yes? I want you to examine the slope. Is the slope positive? Is the slope negative? Is the slope undefined, meaning it's vertical? Is the slope 0, meaning it's a horizontal line? And then I want you to look at the y-intercept. So based upon that information, you should be able to strategically place those 4 equations with the correct graph. Then, number 2, I want you to pretend that you have a piece of scissors in your hand. A piece of scissors? That doesn't make sense. A pair of scissors in your hand. And I want you to pretend that you are physically cutting out a specific region. Do we all understand what I just said? Okay? And the question I ask you is, what line or lines would you cut on to cut out the region that I am talking about on the paper? You with me? Then you're going to replace the equal sign with an inequality symbol by asking yourself those 2 questions. Is the line solid or dotted? And is the shading above it or below it? Yes? So here we go. The very first thing I want you to do is to tell me. Somebody raise their hand and tell me which line goes with which equation. Pick an equation and tell me the line that it goes with. Anyone? Harley? Dotted blue line. Okay. The dotted blue line that goes through region 4 and 5, yes? Why do you say that is y equals x minus 4? You are correct. It goes through the y-intercept, -4, and another easy way to figure this out is it has a positive slope, doesn't it? So it's going uphill, right? So she says that she noticed that it's going through the point 0, -4, and she used the y-intercept for that. Somebody else? Mason? It is the solid green line, so y equals 4 is going to be the solid green line that goes right here. Another one? Tori? Okay, very good. So we're going to have our dotted red line goes right here. That's the vertical line. And that leaves the last one to be having a positive slope or a negative slope of -2. And it also goes through the y-axis at the point 10. Do we all understand that? Yes or no? So everybody get where and why we put our equations where we put them. Yes or no? Well, that's beautiful because now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our drawing to find region 4. So if I'm talking about region 4, can anybody tell me what lines you would cut on to cut out region 4? Well, the easiest thing that I can tell you to do is to do this. To literally start at region 4 and go around it and shade it in and cut it out. How many sides are there of region 4? 4. You know what those sides represent? 4 lines. If there were 3 sides, you'd have 3 lines. If there were only 2 sides, you'd have 2 lines. Do we all understand that? So this means I have to use all 4 lines. So x equals -6, y is equal to 4, y is equal to x minus 4, and y is equal to -2x plus 10. So I have to use all 4 lines. Would you agree with me on that? Yes or no? I left a space there because we used to have equal signs there, but we don't want to continue to use the equal signs. So you have 4 symbols. Yes? Those are the 4 symbols that you can choose from. Now remember, these symbols right here represent dotted. These symbols right here represent solid. Do we all understand that, yes or no? Okay? So my question to you, at x equals -6, is that a dotted line or a solid line? It is a dotted line. And what type of a line is my dotted line? Slanted, vertical, or horizontal? It is a vertical line. When we have vertical lines, we have to ask ourselves, is it solid or dotted? And we said it was dotted already, which means we're using the far ones on the left, less than or greater than. And then we have to ask ourselves, is the shading to the right or is the shading to the left for region 4? So the shading for region 4 is going to be to the right. Do we all see that? Region 4 is to the right of the dotted line. So to the right indicates what? Greater than or less than? Greater than. You only use the right and left when it's a vertical line. Do we all understand that? Okay, so let's go to the next one. I have y equals 4. Is y equals 4 a solid or a dotted line? Solid. Is the shading above that line for region 4 or below that line for region 4? It is below, so what symbol will you be utilizing for that? Less than or equal to. I have y is equal to x minus 4. Is that line dotted or is it solid? X minus 4 is the blue dotted line, so therefore, is the shading for that region 4 above it or below it? It is above it. How do you know that? Pick a point and region 4 is above it. Pick a point, region 4 is above it. Pick a point, region 4 is above it. Do we all understand that? So this is going to be strictly greater than. Yes? Okay, now, the next one is going to be y equals negative 2x plus 10. Is that solid or dotted? Solid. Is the shading above it or below it? Well, pick a point. Pick a point on that graph. And is the shading above it or below it? It's below it. It's below it. So I'm going to erase it so that you can see that a little bit better. So here's the point on that line. And it's below it. Do we all see that? It's below it. So that means it's going to be less than or equal to because it is a solid line. So all 4 of those inequalities together make the region 4 whenever they intersect. Do we all understand that? Okay, how about we do region 3? So now I want you to find region 3. I want you to try it yourself. So everybody try to do region 3 yourself. Pretend you're cutting it out and go right ahead and do your equations. We're going to get there. Think of marriage. Are you ready yet? Okay, if I'm cutting out region 3, region 3 is going to be right here and right here. How many lines make up region 3? Only 2 lines. And what are the 2 lines making up region 3? X equals negative 6 and y equals 4. Do we all understand that? Now, x equals negative 6 is a dotted blue line. Dotted means I'm right here on these 2 symbols. Yes? It's either less than or greater than. Is the shading above it or below it? Well, that's a vertical line, so I have to say, is it right or left? It's going to be to the left. It's going to the left. It means my numbers are less than. Okay, how about y equals 4? Is it solid or dotted? Solid, that means I'm over here this time. And is the shading for region 3 above it or below it? Above it, so what's that going to be? Greater than or equal to. Those 2 regions together make up region 3. Do we all understand that? Okay, now, the next thing I need you to know is going to be this right here. 4 union 5, bless you. 4 union 5, that's what that U means. If I join these 2 in holy union, his stuff is my stuff is his stuff. So what we're doing is we're marrying the 2 regions together. You're not just cutting out one, but you're cutting out 2 regions that touch each other. You with me? So we are going to cut out region 4 and 5 together. So if I'm cutting out region 4 and 5 together, here's this side of 4. I go all the way into region 5 and I come all the way back around. How many sides are there to that lovely little shape now? There's only 3. And what 3 lines make up that region? Y equals 4. X equals negative 6, I heard. Did I hear somebody else say another one? And y equals x minus 4. Do we all understand that those three lines make up union of 4 and 5 put together? Yes? Okay, so if I am in region 4 and 5, and I'm talking about the line y equals 4, is the line y equals 4 solid or dotted? Solid, and is the shading for region 4 union 5 above it or below it? Below it, so what's that going to give me for my inequality symbol? Less than or equal to. How about the next one? X equals negative 6. Is that a solid or a dotted line? It's a dotted blue line, right? And is the shading, since it's a vertical line, to the right of it or to the left of it? To the right, and what does that indicate? Which symbol? It's greater than. And then y equals x minus 4. Is that solid or dotted? Dotted. Is the shading above it from every point or below it? It's above it, so what are we going to be utilizing? Greater than. Do we understand those three right there? Go ahead and do the next one, which is going to be 5 and 7 together. So everybody do 5 and 7 together. Are we ready yet? Okay, 5 and 7 together. I'm going to start at 5, and I'm going to go down a diagonal. And look, that's the whole region there, isn't it? So tell me, how many sides are there to 5 and 7 together? 2. So what two lines make up 5 and 7? Y equals, what'd you say? Negative 2x plus 10, and what else? Y equals 4. So y equals negative 2x plus 10. Is it solid or dotted? Solid. Is the shading above or below? Above, so what's that going to give you? Greater than or equal to. What about the next one? Y is equal to 4. Solid or dotted? Above or below? So what's that going to be? Less than or equal to. Do we understand, yes or no? Okay, tonight's homework is 10 problems just like this. Very simple. Okay, it's not hard at all. All I need you to do is to make sure that you match the correct graphs. Okay, match the correct graphs. Make sure that they are correct with the graphing using the slope and the y-intercept. Then you are going to do each region. When you are done, my answer key is on my podium. You may come up and check your answers. Go ahead and pass last night's homework to the end of the rows, and I will go ahead and grade it. And we are done.